We're about to head back to school, and whether you're excited for this year or not excited for this year, there's going to be both good and bad things that happen, and we need to know how we can react, and how we can react in a way that Jesus would react in order to help share Jesus's love with everyone we come in contact with. So we're going to go through a whole little activity in order to make sure that you are ready for any situation this year can throw at you. First off, you're gonna need a couple of things. You're going to need small candies. I would suggest Smarties because we're going back to school. So we wanna be Smarties when we go back to school, but any small candy will work, marshmallows will work, any of that kind of stuff. You're also gonna need some ice cubes. So those are the two things you need. Pause the video, go find the things, and then come back to me when you're ready. All right, the first thing you're gonna do is take one of the Smarties and eat it. As you're eating it, think about kind of how it tastes. You know, does it taste kind of sweet? It might feel a little bit chalky in your mouth because, you know, the Smarties are they're kind of like chalk, but they're really yummy chalk. And so just think about how it tastes. If you have someone else in the room with you, talk to them about how the Smartie tastes. Once that's gone, you're gonna take your ice cube and put your ice cube on your tongue. Make this a competition and see how long you can hold your ice cube on your tongue before you give up. Pause the video until you have given up. Now that you're done with your ice cube, make sure you grab a Smartie immediately, or marshmallow, whatever you're using, and put it in your mouth. Does it taste different? Or are you having a hard time tasting it? Pause the video, talk to someone in your room, or write down your answers so that you have an idea of what's going on. Now, I don't know about you, but when I did this, I had a really hard time tasting the Smartie the second time. The reason is because when you put ice on something, it kind of dulls your nerves and it makes it harder to feel things. So it literally helps make you numb. It's kind of like if you've ever hurt yourself and your mom's given you an ice pack or some frozen peas to put on you. It's because it reduces the swelling and it helps the pain go away because you don't feel it as much. When you put the ice cube on your tongue, it makes your tongue a little bit dull, a little bit numb. And then when you try to eat something, it's kind of hard to taste it because your tongue's not quite working right. Also happens in the real world, not with ice, but as we just kind of go about life, it's really easy to become kind of numb to other people and to be dull to their pain and not to think of other people and things like that. Especially when we're, you know, maybe back at school, we're overwhelmed, maybe you're, you know, not feeling the greatest, maybe you're tired. It's really hard to concentrate on other people when we're not feeling our best. When you aren't paying attention to the needs of other people, your heart becomes numb and your heart becomes dull. And we don't want that because Jesus asks us to make sure that we're caring for other people. So instead we want to make sure that our heart is staying sweet, just like those Smarties. Now that we've been talking for a little bit, if your tongue is unnumb, eat another Smartie and see how it tastes different than the one when your tongue was a bit numb right after the ice. So the good news is that even though sometimes we get kind of dull to other people and numb to their pain, we can always get refocused and we can be sweet again. So it's not an end all be all. You can always change and you can always go back to other things. All you have to do is start focusing on other people instead of focusing on yourself. We're gonna read a story from the Bible of a time when some people were numb and some people were sweet. I want you to think as you listen, who is being numb and who's being sweet and which one you should be a little more like. This story is called the Good Samaritan and it is in Luke chapter 10, starting in verse 25. It says, "On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to Jesus. 'Teacher,' he said, 'what must I do to inherit eternal life?' 'What is written in the law?' he replied. 'How do you read it?' He answered, 'Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself.' 'You have answered correctly,' Jesus said. 'Do this and you will live.' The man wanted to justify himself, so he said, 'Jesus, who counts as my neighbor?' In reply, Jesus said, 'A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by some robbers. They took all his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead on the side of the road. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side.'" So the priest is walking down, he crosses the road and passes on the other side. "So too, a Levite," so a Jewish person, we're assuming that the original person in this was also Jewish. "So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan," someone from Samaria, not Jewish, But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged up his wounds and poured oil and wine on them. And then he put the man on his own donkey and brought him to an inn and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expenses that I have. Jesus said, which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert in the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus said, go and do likewise. So your neighbor doesn't have to be your literal neighbor. It doesn't have to be any of that kind of stuff. Your neighbor is just people that you're coming into contact with, that you are being sweet to, that you are being kind to. So as we go back to school, all of the people that you encounter are your neighbors. Your classmates are your neighbors. The people in the class across the hall from you are your neighbors. Your teachers and your principals, they're all your neighbors if you treat them in a way that you would like to be treated. So let's talk about some specific scenarios that you might encounter this year, you might not encounter this year, and decide which ones of them count as numb and which one counts as sweet. I have these little ice cream cones and we're going to sort them by what is sweet and what is numb. So hold the door for the principal. That's going to be sweet. You can answer these at home. Say nothing when people are making fun of the new kid. Ooh, that is numb to people's feelings. We do not want to do that. Make fun of the substitute teacher, also not okay. We're not going to do that. We're not being numb because, you know, teachers have feelings too, even substitutes. Sit with someone who's lonely at lunch. That is nice and sweet. Refuse to do your homework. Ooh, that is numb, and it's going to result in you not learning things. Help the new kid. That one's definitely sweet. And last one for today is help someone clean up when they spill their lunch. That's also going to be sweet. There's more of these as well as some other printable activities linked down below in the description. Now that you have a couple of ideas, sit down and think of some other scenarios you might see maybe at church, how you can be sweet to people at church, how you can be sweet to people at school, how you can be sweet to your parents and your family at home, and think about how you can do that. And the next time you see someone who's hurting or needs some help, make sure that you remember to be sweet and not to be numb. Now, if you are an adult watching this, a teacher or a parent, you can click the link down below to purchase some extra activity sheets that go along with this, including a memory verse scramble, more of those sorting sheets, and lots of different things, including printable directions, and lots of other things that you might need to help your kiddos really learn this lesson. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.